Alright, so the Infantry Arsenal update is now live in its first iteration on the public test server. And well, with the patch notes sitting in at a whopping 5,418 words, there's a lot to cover here. There's no hope in hell we're getting through all of it in one video, so today we're just going to be focusing primarily on the infantry balance changes, looking at the new attachments, and some of the highlights I've spotted in initial testing. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today, well, this is part one of many of testing the Infantry Arsenal update coming to Planetside 2. So I think this goes without saying, gang, but I'll say it anyway. Everything we are looking at today is on the public test server, which means that things are subject to change before they hit the live game. Now, who knows how much is actually subject to change, but I think it's always better to put that disclaimer out there before we get into things. I also want to note here as well that I'm seeing everything here for the first time as of writing this video as well. So trust me, I'm learning with you guys. Full patch notes are linked in the description down below for those who want to take a deeper look beyond what we can cover here today. Also, for those who ask, because I can see this coming from a mile away, yes, there is stuff that I will miss in this video, and yes, they'll be covered during the week. I've got at least 2 more videos planned to hit the channel before the next update hits the test server as of next Friday-ish, so stuff is coming, stay patient with me, there's a lot to cover, and I promise to cover as much as I can. And I would also recommend sticking around for the whole video this time around because there's some pretty dirty stuff for us to show off closer to the end of the video. But let's get into things and start having a look through all the goodies and changes to the infantry world. First things first, I quickly want to reiterate some of the key changes that are coming to the wider infantry balance as of this update. Some of which we had some pretty concrete information about prior to the patch notes dropping, but some of which we're just learning about today. First things first, Nanoweave armor now reduces sniper rifle damage to the body by 20%, instead of providing that blanket reduction to all classes of small arms weaponry. I echo the same thoughts that I had with my previous video. I think expanding this suit slot to cover things like max suit AI weaponry and shotguns will make this a suit slot that fits well into the ecosystem without being too overpowered. Nano Armor Cloak has had its passive 100 extra shield HP removed, but now maintains a 35% resistance rating at all ranks while being active, as opposed to only being available on the last rank of unlock. We've also received some key information regarding the Adrenaline Shield nerf that is coming, with its energy return per kill now moving from a 31, 35, 38, 41, and 44% per rank respectively, down to 15, 18, 21, 23, 25% per rank respectively. The reasoning outlined by Rel in the patch notes states that this is all about making room for alternatives in the heavy assault shielding world. I've had some conversations in my Discord server already with players about that becoming a reality post-update here, but I've got a feeling that this may still stick as my personal shield of choice for my playstyle, but we'll see over time. Power knife damage has now been reduced as well from 1050 damage to 900 damage, which essentially consistently now kills in 2 hits to the body and 1 to the head. Personally, as knifing loadouts have become more and more powerful over the years with more powerful implant and loadout combinations, I personally felt like this was a long time coming. There's been a lot of power creep to this playstyle over the years with implants, and yeah, look, this I think needed to happen. Now that it requires a headshot to secure a kill, there's more of a necessity to actually, aim a little bit to make it worth your while. Fine by me. The alluded to shotgun changes are a lot to go through, but the general gist is as per follows. Their starting cone of fire value has been reeled in for all non-jumping, sprinting, and falling movement states. The cone of fire bloom is now 0.3 from the hip and 0.15 while ADS across the board, but this only has an effect on full auto shotties who don't have breaks between shots at times. And pellet spread values while aiming and firing from the hip have been standardized using wider hip fire values. While some weapons had hidden tighter spreads while ADS'd, a smart choke is being added back to all the shotguns to bring back this ability at the cost of some hip fire pellet spread. How this will actually impact the use of effectiveness of shotguns we will see on the live server in due time. Based on my testing, I found that you can consistently get a 1-shot kill with pump action shotguns up to about 10 meters, a 2-shot kill up to around about 20 meters, and a 3-shot kill out to about 30 and beyond. And that was with running standard buckshot, so we'll see how things go in due time as they make it to the live server and we see them in live action. We also now have a complete list of some of the weapons that are getting some tune-ups beyond the attachment overhaul. I'm not going to go through the whole list now, and apparently there are some more weapons being added to this list in next week's PTS patch, so keep an eye on that. But here are a couple of the highlights now. The T7 mini chain gun now has a headshot multiplier moving from 1.5 times to 2 times. Oh dear, the chain gun's going to be pretty brutal. And the MG S1 Jackal has had some serious buffs to the BX adapter. More on that later. And as I said earlier guys, that only scratches the surface here. Let's move on to the real meat. The attachment options. Not only do we have new attachments to go over here, we've also got some legacy attachment options available on different weapons, and we've also had some pretty major changes to legacy attachment options as well. Once again, there's just so much to bloody go through here, so we'll start off with the existing attachments and move our way onto the new stuff. I'm getting there guys, hang in there. The compensator across the board now provides a vertical recoil reduction of 30%, up from 15%, with a hipfire cone of fire penalty dropping from 20% to 15%. This now makes the attachment a lot more attractive for a lot more weapons, and it now appears on more weapons as well, which is exciting to see. Forward grips and laser sights no longer have advanced versions, with all weapons that had advanced laser sights or forward grips now only sporting the base models with the base effects. This was to address balance discrepancies, with the advanced options tending to sit on weapons that already had top tier performance in these respective aspects that the attachments affected. Comfort grips now increase vertical recoil by 20% while continuing to improve weapon swap times. This is now an attachment that exists on all shotguns, sniper rifles, and most scout rifles over the usual forward grip. No more useless forward grips on snipers, which is a good step in the right direction. Even if I'll just stick it out with the straight pull bolt in most scenarios anyway, it's nice to have that flexibility. The disruptor ammo, which is also unique to NC, is being adjusted as it gets added to more items in the arsenal. It now reduces total damage per shot by 20% at all ranges, but it strips maximum shield energy on hit as opposed to a flat value. This is a curious adjustment. It also seems to be sapping ability energy as well. So I find myself wondering just how effective this is going to be in a live server environment. It sounds like it's really going to be powerful against heavy assaults and their overshields, for example, but we'll cover that more once it gets to the live server. But okay, I hear you. You want to start talking about the new attachments. What's coming and what exactly is it all going to do? All right, we'll go over what each of them do, then we'll have a brief chat about some of the combinations I've caught myself using and enjoying so far while testing. First things first, the angled forward grip. This is an attachment that is coming to a slew of weapons across the game. I'm pretty sure most automatic, if not all automatic weapons, are going to have the option to equip a angled forward grip, but don't quote me on that. It reduces your first shot multiplier of your weapon by a whopping 80% at the cost of increasing your horizontal recoil by 10%. This is an attachment that does wonders on weapons that you'll find yourself bursting frequently, or weapons that sport incredibly light horizontal kicks per shot as well. On the other hand, a 10% increase to the horizontal recoil on weapons that are notoriously shaky left and right makes them incredibly unwieldy. So you'll only ever see the use of an angled grip, or at least the effective use of an angled grip, on a few weapon archetypes. Secondly, we have the heavy barrel and the short barrel. These are attachments that compete with things like the suppressor and the compensator, so we've got some added depth to play with here depending on the weapon itself. The heavy barrel reduces your cone of fire bloom by 20% while aiming down sights at the cost of 20% slower movement speed while aiming down sights. On the contrary, the short barrel reduces your cone of fire bloom by 40% while firing from the hip at the cost of 20% additional vertical recoil while aiming down sights. So we've got polar opposites at play here, one focusing on the ADS and click heads consistently approach, and the other looking at your more, mobility heavy, crazed hipfire approach. With the removal of the advanced laser sight from the game, this short barrel in particular does a lot to bring some of that consistency back that was lost to your more hipfire centric weapons that could equip an advanced laser sight. You can't click heads as much with hipfire at distance now, but you can certainly maintain sprayable accuracy for longer. We've also got flechette ammunition for shotguns coming to the game, which triples the maximum and minimum damage fall-off ranges but reduces the number of pellets fired by the weapon. So basically the middle ground between slugs and standard buckshot, especially when you combine that with, say, the smart choke attachment. There is also this attachment, the K-cap ammunition, literally the kneecap ammo available to the TR exclusively. This is an ammunition type that reduces headshot damage by 50%, but then not only removes leg shot damage penalties, but then also adds an additional 20% damage to leg shots. I have to say, I'm a little confused by this attachment. I don't know why it's necessarily come to the game. Admittedly, it's something that I will never see myself using. It's just a bit weird, to be honest. It kind of goes against what the game should be teaching you to do, which is go for headshots. Anyways, the VS are also getting two new unique ammunition types, that being the Manticore and Cerberus ammunitions. Manticore reduces infantry movement speed by 20% for 2 seconds on impact, but permanently reduces your weapon's muzzle velocity by 40% while equipped, and Cerberus causes the weapon to fire a 3 pellet spread horizontally horizontally from the hip and vertically while ADS'd. It should be noted that both of these ammunition types are only available on a very select amount of weaponry from what I can tell, which is good because I'm not personally a fan of the slowing down ammunition concept. The tranquility was annoying enough to me personally, so mechanically I don't really want to see this kind of mechanic come to the game more. The Cerberus ammunition is available exclusively to the Cerberus sidearm from what I can tell, and I mean, it makes it a bit more fun, I guess. Whether or not it will replace my trusty Commissioner or Underboss, I don't know, but it kind of makes the Cerberus a bit more worthwhile, so yeah, we'll see in due time, I guess. But yeah, between the changes to the old attachments, the selection of what attachments can go on what weapon, and the new attachments coming to the mix, the possibilities are kinda endless here, guys. Some of the weapons that I used to stick my nose up at frequently have felt a lot better to play with since these attachment changeouts. For example, the Flare VE6 and the TMG50, the heavy-hitting LMGs available to the TR and the VS, have felt pretty solid either with the compensator plus angled forward grip combo, which is just perfect for tap firing accuracy, or jamming on a heavy barrel and a standard grip, which is great for sustained fire at the cost of some mobility, which with those LMGs you're not going to be doing anyway. The combinations just give these weapons some extra life, and on every slower firing weapon in the game out there where such a combination exists, the outcomes are really solid. The Reaper DMR and the ACX-11 are both weapons that benefit greatly with this mix-up of attachments too. Both of them are weapons with a pretty beefy first shot recoil when you take into consideration their base vertical kick values, and see great results with the angled forward grip, especially with their limited horizontal shift. The ACX-11 also has access to the heavy barrel, which just feels great on this gun, and the Reaper DMR with the newly buffed compensator is just chef's kiss, beautiful stuff. I also want to draw some attention to the good old burst fire weapons here. We'll take a look at the Gauss Rifle Burst, which can take an angled forward grip and a heavy barrel. And keeping in mind that after every burst with a burst fire weapon, the first shot multiplier comes into effect as it's considered a quote-unquote new burst, the result is this kind of lunacy. I mean, hell, you could even make an argument that the heavy barrel in this situation isn't even needed due to its burst fire nature potentially resetting your cone of fire accuracy anyway, so throw on a compensator instead and you just get no recoil in the first place. I mean, I get it, the burst fire weapons that it takes on the default weapons that factions have access to are typically low recoil anyway, but this just makes them absolute laser beams. Long story short, there are a lot more ways to augment your weapons now to deal with weapon inaccuracies or to deal with your own personal mechanical shortcomings as a player, which is cool to see. There was a particular build I was able to conjure up with my Gauss Saw that was a little filthy, I have to say. I equipped the Gauss Saw, threw on a compensator, took the angled grip to reel in the first shot recoil a bit, and for the fun of it, attached a 6x scope, just for laughs, you know, to see what happened. And well, the Gauss Saw practically became a 100 round DMR that was capable of 3-tapping a target at any range in the head with practically zero recoil and an excellent refire time. I mean, this attachment combo was pretty disgusting in a standard environment, but sweet Jesus, this was a filthy loadout. I know the 6x Gauss Saw build is a bit of a meme, but look, guys, you're seeing the gameplay, right? Come on, if I'm able to do this at these kinds of ranges, imagine what a skilled player is going to be able to do with the Gauss Saw in CQC. It's a bit manic, maybe even a little overtuned at this point. On the other end of the spectrum, the short barrel definitely makes up for the slack of the advanced laser sight, as we said before, so the hip fire that many have come to love on certain builds definitely still exists. I mean, hell, even the SVA-88 and the Ursa for the Vanu both got access to unstable ammo. The SVA-88 also got access to the short barrel, which turns it into a pretty solid spray and pray machine if that's more your scene. But the new king of hip fire, ladies and gentlemen, is a weapon that I never thought I would even come close to saying. The Tanto. Yeah, you heard me right. The NSX Tanto, a weapon that has been defined by its perfect hipfire accuracy when on the ground and not airborne, now takes total advantage of the short barrel to do this. Yeah, guys, the short barrel's on the Tanto, which lets you do this. Now, yeah, the weapon does sport a damage profile that is laughable when you compare it against others, but damn it, the fact that you can simply look at someone and achieve a perfect accuracy with hipfire no less says a lot. The short barrel, limiting the hipfire spread of this weapon by 40% just completely negates any need to burst the Tanto at all. This is well and truly the new point-and-click adventure of the Planetside universe if this makes it to the live game. If this makes it to the live game in this state, no joke, the Tanto may just unironically move up to A tier of the Carbine tier list that we're working on. And yeah, by the way, Carbine tier list is now on delay until I can get my head around all of these new changes. Oh yeah, and for those wondering, the flying accuracy is pretty good too, as you've seen during the gameplay already. But just like Billy Mays, I'm not done yet. We also have this bundle of joy, the MG-S1 Jackal. The SMG that I've never really held in high regard due to it being just a budget cyclone that sports a BX receiver attachment that's a bit of a gimmick as it stands. Well, this attachment has received a bit of a change on the public test server that lets it do the following. Yep, that was me almost deleting a max suit in one magazine with this weapon from scratch. I don't know what the math is that allows this weapon to do that just yet, but all I know is that yes, this is intentional. Rel was on the stream when we tested and discovered this, and he confirmed that this is in fact not bugged. This weapon, yeah, look, the gameplay does the talking here. If this goes to the game like it is, I kinda can't wait to just atomize people with it. The TR victim complex ceases to exist as of today, especially after the changes made to the directive weapons as well, which sadly, we aren't gonna have the time to cover in today's video. I know guys, a lot of you want to talk directive weapons, especially the Vanu directive weapons that have admittedly been gutted a bit too hard in my opinion. This video is already getting long as it is, and I already have a ton of notes that I want to go over when it comes to the directive weapons as well, and I want to do those justice and not feel like I have to stifle myself and not go into as much detail as I want to just because the video is getting long. So that'll be for another day. But guys, I want you all to go down to the comment section down below and let me know what your thoughts are on the Infantry Arsenal update. What are your thoughts on the balance changes? What are your thoughts on the new attachments and the reworked attachments? There is just so much to cover here, so I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Make sure you subscribe because we're going to be going over the new faction-specific mines, the new class-specific grenades, the directive weapons, and the upcoming vehicle changes and vehicle weaponry in the coming days as well. So make sure again you are subscribed for that, guys. I look forward to sharing all that information with you and offering some thoughts and insight on those very, very shortly. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to backhand the like button. It goes a long, long way to supporting the channel. And if you haven't done so already, check out all of our social media links down below. Also goes a long way in supporting what I do here. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.